They were the most perfect family ever put on television.
Darling, you're beautiful. Dad!
Nine smiling faces in a tic-tac-toe grid. A lovely lady, a man named Brady, and a housekeeper who never stopped joking.
What are you doing?
I have Mr. Brady's home phone number in this book. I think I'll just call him and ask him if he knows anything about a dame masquerading as his wife.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't.
But the perfect father was dying with a secret America never suspected.
Why do these things always happen to me?
What is this?
Well,
The perfect daughter was trading her body for drugs.
You don't believe me either. And if you don't, I don't want a party or anything ever from you.
And the perfect housekeeper walked away from Hollywood to live in a commune.
I was hugging the postman because I'd won the cunt.
This is the Brady Bunch, 1969, then versus now. And by the end of this video, you will know which three Bradys never made it home. First, Florence Henderson, the golden-haired Carol Brady.
Boys, put that dog back in the car. Well, put him back.
The mother every American child wished they had. She was 35 when the Brady Bunch premiered, already a Broadway leading lady. And the woman who played television's most comfortable mom was born into poverty so deep she was singing for strangers before she could properly read. Here is where America's mom really came from. She was born Florence Agnes Henderson on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1934 in Dale, Indiana. The youngest of 10 children of Joseph Henderson, a tobacco sharecropper, and his wife, Elizabeth. Her mother taught her to sing at 2 years old. By 12, she was performing in local grocery stores just to help the family survive. A theatrical couple heard her sing in high school and paid her way to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. She debuted on Broadway in 1952. By 1954, she was the lead in the musical Fanny, and she went on to become the first woman ever to guest host The Tonight Show. She married theater executive Ira Bernstein in 1956, had 4 children, and divorced after 29 years. In 1987, she married hypnotherapist John Kappas, who died in 2002. In 1970, her 15-year-old television son, Barry Williams, asked her on a date. She said yes, and she drove because he was too young to have a license. On November 21st, 2016, she appeared on Dancing with the Stars to cheer on her television daughter, Maureen McCormick. 3 days later, on Thanksgiving, November 24th, Florence Henderson died of heart failure at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. She was 82. Carol Brady was the mother who never raised her voice and never ran out of love. Florence Henderson was a sharecropper's 10th child who sang her way out of the Great Depression and spent her final Monday on Earth cheering for her television daughter. And while she was holding the family together, the man playing her husband was carrying the heaviest secret on the set. Second, Robert Reed, the calm, wise Mike Brady, the most trusted father in America. He was 36 when the show premiered. A Shakespearean actor trained in London. He hated the show. He fought over almost every script. And he was hiding a truth he would carry all the way to his hospital bed. Here is the double life of America's dad. He was born John Robert Reitz Jr. on October 19, 1932 in Highland Park, Illinois. He studied at Northwestern University and then at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. He played Romeo on stage. He starred for 4 years on the acclaimed legal drama The Defenders. Then came the campy Brady scripts, and Reed treated them like an insult, clashing constantly with creator Sherwood Schwartz. He was so furious over the final episode, producers wrote him out of it entirely. Yet between takes, he took the 6 children on trips and treated them like his own. Christopher Knight later said Reed was a better father figure than his real dad, and Robert Reed was gay. In 1954, he married Marilyn Rosenberger and had a daughter, Karen. The marriage ended in 1959, and he spent the rest of his life in the closet. Florence Henderson said the double life filled him with anger and frustration. In his final years, he taught Shakespeare at UCLA, which Henderson called his happiest days. When he knew he was dying, he called her personally and asked her to break the news to the cast because he could not. On May 12, 1992, in Pasadena, Robert Reed died at 59. His death certificate listed colon lymphoma with HIV as a contributing condition. Mike Brady was the father with an answer for everything. Robert Reed was a classical actor who despised the role that made him immortal and hid his truth until a piece of paper revealed it after his death. And the boy who called him a second father spent those same years asking his television mother out on a date. Third, Barry Williams, the confident eldest son. Greg, the teen idol of the bunch.
Happy now, Mr. Dictator?
Okay, wise guy. How'd you like to go to bed early and miss that movie on TV tonight?
You can't make me do that.
I sure can, for not showing proper respect to your sitter.
And the last Brady still performing today at 71. He was 14 when the show was cast, and before it was over, he had dated his sister and taken his own mother out on the town. Here is the story of the boy who never left the family. He was born Barry William Blankhorn on September 30th, 1954 in Santa Monica, California. As Greg, he received sacks of fan mail every single week and became a permanent fixture of the teen magazines, the closest thing the show had to a heartthrob. In 1970, at 15, he asked his 36-year-old television mom, Florence Henderson, to see a singer with him. His older brother drove him to her hotel, and Henderson took the wheel from there. He also dated his on-screen sister, Maureen McCormick, a teenage romance he says nearly went further during the 5th season. And he has admitted he once filmed a scene while high and could barely ride his bike straight on camera. After the show, he escaped to the stage, touring in Grease, West Side Story, and The Sound of Music, and playing a con man on General Hospital in 1984. His 1992 memoir, Growing Up Brady, was a bestseller, became a bestseller, and later a television movie. He ran his own 70s music variety show in Branson, Missouri for 6 years. He has been married 3 times, most recently to singer and dancer Tina Mahina in 2017, and has 2 children. In 2023, at 69, he competed on Dancing with the Stars and ripped his shirt off on live television during his final dance. Greg Brady was the oldest kid who thought he was cooler than he really was. Barry Williams is the one who understood the joke, embraced it, and turned being a Brady into a 50-year career. But while Greg was signing autographs, the girl playing his perfect little sister was heading toward the darkest story in the entire family. Fourth, Maureen McCormick, the beautiful golden girl, Marcia Brady, the most famous teenager in America. She was 13 when the show premiered, reportedly picked from more than 1,200 girls, and the girl every kid wanted to be spent the next decade quietly trying to destroy herself. Here is what Marcia was hiding. She was born Maureen Denise McCormick on August 5th, 1956 in Los Angeles, the youngest of 4 children in a troubled home. On screen, she was sunshine. Off screen, she was drowning in anxiety and insecurity. When the show ended in 1974, she fell into a 5-year cocaine addiction, along with bulimia and depression. In her memoir, she admitted she traded sex for drugs and would stay up for days, finishing every last flake. She reportedly lost a Steven Spielberg audition for Raiders of the Lost Ark after arriving high and sleepless. In 1981, during filming of The Brady Brides, her agent found her hiding in a closet high on cocaine after she missed 3 days of work. Then she met Michael Cummings, the man who would save her life. They married in 1985, and when she slipped again, he gave her exactly 1 sentence: "If you ever do this drug again, I am gone." She got clean, and she has stayed sober for more than 40 years. Her 2008 memoir, Here's the Story, hit number 4 on the New York Times bestseller list. In 2016, she competed on Dancing with the Stars, and Florence Henderson sat in that audience to support her just 3 days before dying. Today, at 69, she lives in Westlake Village, California with Cummings, and returned to the stage off-Broadway in 2025. Marcia Brady was the girl whose biggest problem was a football to the nose. Maureen McCormick was a teenager screaming behind a smile, who crawled out of addiction and outlived the image that nearly killed her. And while Marcia fought her demons, the woman who kept the Brady kitchen was quietly preparing to give up Hollywood for God. Fifth, Ann B. Davis. The wisecracking housekeeper, Alice, the smiling center square of the famous opening grid. She was 43 when the show premiered, already a two-time Emmy winner. And at the height of her fame, she walked away from Hollywood to share a bedroom with two other women in a religious commune. Here is where Alice really went. She was born Anne Bradford Davis on May 3, 1926 in Schenectady, New York, with an identical twin sister named Harriet. She enrolled at the University of Michigan as a pre-med student, planning to become a doctor, then switched to drama. She won 2 Emmys as Schultze on The Bob Cummings Show before Alice ever tied on an apron. She built Alice's backstory around her own twin, and she once said she cared so much for the Brady family, she would have died for any one of them. Then in 1974, she met Episcopal Bishop William Fry and his wife Barbara. 2 years later, she sold her Los Angeles house, moved into a multi-family religious community in Denver with up to 20 people under one roof, and volunteered at a homeless shelter. She said everyone has a God-shaped space inside them. She lived with the Fry family for the next 38 years, following them to Pennsylvania and finally to Texas, where she sang in the choir and served her little church in Bernie. She never married and had no children, and she never once regretted the trade she made. On June 1, 2014, after a fall at her home in San Antonio, Ann B. Davis suffered a subdural hematoma and never regained consciousness. She was 88. 6th, Christopher Knight. The awkward middle son, Peter, the kid with the cracking voice.
I didn't know you played the piano.
I don't. That's why I gotta take lessons.
Well, try to make it anyway, Jason. Okay, bye.
And the Brady who became a genuine tech millionaire. He was 11 when the show premiered, and when Hollywood stopped calling, he answered from a completely different world. Here's the reinvention nobody saw coming. He was born Christopher Anton Knight on November 7, 1957 in New York City. As Peter, he delivered the show's most famous puberty storyline when his voice cracked on camera during the song Time to Change. After the show, adult roles simply never came. Casting directors could not see past Peter. So instead of waiting by the phone like every other former child star in town, in the late 1980s, he deliberately rolled himself out of the entertainment industry and into technology. He built software companies like Visual Software and KidWise Learningware and spent more than 20 years as a high-tech executive while his television siblings chased auditions. In 2001, he won a Brady edition of The Weakest Link and gave the $49,000 to charity. Then reality television pulled him back. On The Surreal Life in 2005, he met Adrienne Curry, the first winner of America's Next Top Model and nearly 25 years his junior. Their romance became its own series, My Fair Brady, where he proposed on the season finale. They married in 2006 and divorced in 2012. Florence Henderson had warned them both against it on camera. He has been married 4 times, most recently to Kara Kokonis in 2016, and has no children. Today, at 68, he runs Christopher Knight Home, a furniture brand sold across America, putting his name in living rooms instead of on screens. Peter Brady was the middle kid nobody noticed. Christopher Knight was the one who noticed the exit, took it, and came back richer than the show ever made him. But the smartest financial move in Brady history did not belong to him. It belonged to an 11-year-old girl with a beach house. 7th, Eve Plumb, the overlooked middle sister Jan, the girl behind television's most famous cry of sibling jealousy.
Oh! I just remembered something! Oh!
You remembered what, Jan?
That's why I screamed. Only it wasn't a screamy scream. It was a happy scream.
Well, it was still a scream. What's happened?
Marcia. She was 11 when the show premiered, and that same year, she made a business decision that would quietly embarrass every adult in Hollywood. Here is what Jan did with her paycheck. She was born Eve Aline Plumb on April 29, 1958 in Burbank, California, the daughter of a record company executive. In 1969, the first year of the Brady Bunch, her family used her earnings to buy a small 850 square foot beach cottage in Malibu for $55,300. She was 11 years old, an age when most kids were spending their money on candy and comic books. She held on to that little blue bungalow through every decade of her adult life, 47 years in total, and sold it in June of 2016 for $3.9 million. One of the great real estate wins in television history. After the show, she fought harder than anyone to escape the character, starring as a teenage runaway turned prostitute in the 1976 television movie Dawn, Portrait of a Teenage Runaway. And when producers launched the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, she was the only Brady kid who refused to return. Audiences were handed a replacement that fans still call Fake Jan. Between jobs, she picked up a paintbrush, and painting slowly became a second career, with her still life shown in galleries across the country. She was married once before and has been married to information technology consultant Ken Pace since 1995. Today, at 68, she still acts, and she still paints. Jan Brady was the middle child who felt invisible next to her perfect sister. Eve Plumb was the only Brady kid who said no to the machine, bought a piece of the California coast as a sixth grader, and cashed it out like a Wall Street veteran. And while Jan was outsmarting Hollywood, the littlest Brady boy was rolling his truck on a Utah highway. 8th, Mike Lookinland. The youngest brother, Bobby, the little redhead the producers dyed brunette so he would match Robert Reed. He was 8 when the show premiered, and decades later, when police pulled him from a wrecked truck, the jailers booking him whistled the Brady Bunch theme song. Here is how Bobby Brady hit bottom and climbed back. He was born Michael Paul Lookinland on December 19, 1960 in Mount Pleasant, Utah. After the show, he attended the University of Utah, dropped out, and disappeared behind the camera, working as a production assistant on Halloween and becoming a camera operator. He later admitted he lived his childhood in his 20s because he never got to live it as a child, and he said he went fully off the rails. On a November night in 1997, driving home from his job as an assistant cameraman on the series Promised Land, he rolled his Ford Bronco on a Utah highway. His blood alcohol level was measured at .258, more than 3 times the legal limit. He was booked into the Washington County Jail while, according to the Deseret News, jailers whistled the Brady theme in the background. He called the choice that followed a simple one, between living and dying. He spent weeks in a court-ordered rehabilitation program, completed it, and has stayed completely sober ever since that night. He married script supervisor Kelly Wormuth in 1987 and has 2 sons, and his son Scott played him in the television movie Growing Up Brady. Today, at 65, he runs a decorative concrete business in Salt Lake City and says he has never thought about leaving Utah. Bobby Brady was the little brother always trying to prove he was big enough. Mike Lookinland was the man who nearly proved it in the worst way possible, then rebuilt his whole life out of concrete. And that leaves the smallest Brady of all. 9th, Susan Olsen. The pigtailed baby of the family, Cindy Brady, the youngest actor on the set. She was 8 when the show premiered, one of the last of the 6 kids to be hired. And nearly 5 decades later, one furious message typed in anger ended her broadcasting career in a single weekend. Here is the story of the littlest Brady. She was born Susan Marie Olsen on August 14, 1961 in Santa Monica, California, the youngest of 4 children. She had been working since she was a toddler. Her lisp became part of Cindy, along with years of teasing that followed her long after the cameras stopped. As an adult, she left acting almost entirely and built a quieter life on her own terms, working as a graphic designer and artist, becoming a devoted animal welfare advocate who fostered countless dogs, and speaking openly as a lifelong migraine sufferer to help others living with the same condition. In her 50s, she reinvented herself again as co-host of an internet radio show called 2 Chicks Talkin' Politics. Then, in December of 2016, just weeks after Florence Henderson's death, she got into an online war with an openly gay actor who had criticized her on Facebook. She sent him a private message containing a homophobic slur. He posted the screenshot. Within days, LA Talk Radio announced it had severed ties with her, saying it would not tolerate hateful speech. Olsen has insisted she was the subject of fake news and was never fired, but the show was over, and the headline followed the sweetest Brady everywhere she went. Today, at 64, she lives in California, still painting, still rescuing animals. Cindy Brady was the innocent little girl who could never keep a secret. Susan Olsen was the grown woman whose one unfiltered moment became the only Brady scandal to play out in public, in real time, for everyone to see. 9 faces in a grid. Here is where they all are now. They lived in that split-level house for 5 seasons and 117 episodes. And today, the trail splits between graves and survivors. Robert Reed rests in Memorial Park Cemetery in Skokie, Illinois, back home near Chicago. Florence Henderson lies at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Ann B. Davis rests in a small church memorial garden in Boerne, Texas, beside the congregation she loved. 3 of the 9 are gone, but 6 are still here. Barry Williams, 71, still singing, still Greg. Maureen McCormick, 69, sober for 4 decades and back on stage. Christopher Knight, 68, selling furniture with his name on it. Eve Plumb, 68, painting. Mike Lookinland, 65, pouring concrete in Salt Lake City. Susan Olsen, 64, rescuing animals. In 2019, the 6 of them reunited to rebuild the real Brady house in Studio City, room by room, exactly the way America remembered it. The show about a perfect family was made by a hidden father, a sharecropper's daughter, a recovering addict, a woman who left it all for God, a tech millionaire, an 11-year-old investor, a survivor of the bottle, and one last scandal. And somehow, more than half a century later, they are still the only family who ever knew each other's whole truth.